Welcome to the Better Than Rich show. I am your host today, Mike Abramowitz, and we have a special episode because it is me interviewing our first guest, which is Nick Santonastasso. And if you do not know who Nick is, I highly recommend you to go to Instagram and check out Nick as soon as possible. Nick Santonastasso. You'll see him featured on the stage with Tony Robbins. You'll see him having conversations with The Rock. You'll see him speaking in China on stages of 10, 20,000 people plus. The guy's incredible, and his story is remarkable. And if you don't know who Nick is, he's a 25-year-old entrepreneur right now, former bodybuilder, former wrestler, and he is a world shaker. And he has no legs. He only has one arm and one finger. He is an incredible human being with an incredible heart, and you'll notice that in the conversation that I have with him. I want you to pay attention to the types of questions that Nick asks during this conversation. I want you to pay attention to the questions that I ask Nick as well. He has a great book called From Victim to Victor. He's been featured on the Ed Milet show. You can check out his interview there. He has a great podcast as well of Becoming Victorious. So this episode is a special one to me. I've known Nick for a few years now, and I'm so glad to share him with you. So here you go, Nick Santonastasso, an interview with Mike Abramowitz. So I had the privilege and the honor of meeting you, Nick, twice, actually a couple of times, I guess 3 or 4 times at this point. But this was a really special moment because this was when I got my autographed copy of your book. And I'm still impressed to this point on, how you were able to sign it so beautiful. Your signature is better than mine. And it's really remarkable. I'm just so fascinated by you, by what you've accomplished, by who you are. And I'm so excited to introduce you to all the different communities that I'm a part of. I'll formally introduce you in just a moment, Nick, but I know there's a couple of different communities that don't necessarily know who I am. So I just want to take a quick moment. My name is Mike Abramowitz. I'm going to be interviewing Nick tonight. If you don't know me, I'm the founder of the Bay Area Game Changers. I'm a district manager with Vector Marketing and Cutco. I have 9 different books for the Grab Tomorrow series, founder of PB&J for Tampa Bay, where we feed the homeless, fed over 99,000 people, and the co-host of the Better Than Rich show podcast as well. But you are not here to listen to me. You are here to listen to this man, Nick Santonastasso. Nick, where are you streaming in from right now? Where are you living right now?
I'm in Utah. Interesting place.
Very cool. Very cool. So, Nick, you have this awesome book, Victim to Victor, forward written by Ed Milet. You've been featured on Ed Milet's podcast. First form athlete, bodybuilder, model, trained over 1 million entrepreneurs. You have the Victorious podcast that just started. I listened to the first 2 episodes on Spotify. Fantastic stuff. And I was really fired up after listening to it. I ordered your mom's book.
Oh, wow.
I'm so excited to dive into your mom's work and see what Stacy had to say about raising you. I encourage everyone else to go do the exact same thing. I'm really fired up to get into her world and into her lens. You've been on a guest on Tony Robbins' stage, approaching over 1 million followers on Instagram, Deepak Chopra, Steve Forbes, met The Rock. The list goes on and on of your accolades and who you are and what you've accomplished. And you're only 25 years old. And I have a few questions I'm going to be asking you today, and I'm just going to expect from everyone in the chat. As you're in this chat, as you're listening to this conversation, as you're witnessing it, feel free, if you're here live on Zoom, use the chat to share your light bulb moments. Make sure you're not a distraction. People are taking their time to learn and to listen and to be here and to be present. Make sure you're using the chat as a tool, as a resource to stay on topic, not necessarily get so sidetracked into the weeds. Like, really stay focused and be present, be engaged. Use that chat as a resource. Anytime you hear something that Nick says, it's a light bulb that resonates with you, feel free to share it. Be engaged, be focused, be present, and let's get the most out of our time that we have with Nick today. So,
Nick, I had a couple of questions for you. The first question is, for those that don't know the backstory of you, Nick, the quote unquote diagnosis is it pronounced hand-heart syndrome? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, hand-heart syndrome. Which, by the way, hold on. Hey, thanks for showing up today. Give me some round of applause for yourself, because most people aren't taking time to go work on themselves randomly on an afternoon. So I just want to applaud you. And what I could tell about you is you want the next level of life. How many of you, with a show of hands, wants the next level of life, whatever that looks like for you? Exactly why you're here. So really, really honored to be here. And before I start, I just want to give some housekeeping. I'm not here to give you answers. I'm just little baby Yoda over here. Right? I'm just little baby Yoda. I'm short. I got a lot of wisdom, but more importantly, I ask great questions, because I'm not here to give you answers. I'm here to ask great questions to lead you to your own answers. So if you want to note that, great leaders ask great questions to lead people to their own answers. They don't really necessarily give you answers, right? So you want to come up with your own answers. The other thing that I just want to note as well is that change is hard. Like changing your life is really difficult. And the reason being is because a part of you needs to die and let go of something that doesn't serve you. And most people won't. And average is all around you, and it's really easy to be average. So if it's okay today, I'm going to push you and challenge you, and maybe make you uncomfortable so you can have a next level of life. Is that okay? Show of hands. Is that all right?
Yes.
Awesome. So the diagnosis was hand-heart syndrome. And, so basically my mom went in for a late ultrasound. They sat them down, they pulled the baby up on the screen, and they started freaking out. And they said, look, your baby's limbs aren't being developed. Looks like his legs are messed up. His arms are messed up, and his face is messed up. And clearly this beautiful thing was never messed up. So they lied about that. And they classified me with hand-heart syndrome. And I was the 12th baby in medical history that they've ever seen this happen to. And out of the 12, 8 of those babies have passed away due to undeveloped organs. And so they gave my parents about 30%. They gave me a 30% chance to live. And in that moment, my parents made a massive decision. And the decision was that they were going to focus on the 30% chance of me living versus the 70% chance of me dying. And the reason being, I just wanted to touch on this. The reason being, I want you to note this, is what I focus on, I will get more of. Always. Can I curse here? Am I allowed to curse here?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
As long as you're authentic.
No, I'm just kidding. Right?
As long as you're authentic.
So what I focus on, I get more of. What I focus on, I feel. And more importantly, what I feel is my life. Now, what I'm going to do here today, and thank you, Mike, for having me, is we're just going to make you aware of things that you may not be aware of. Because the majority of things that are holding you back, you're unconscious. You're not aware of them. You only know what you know, and you can only see what you can see. But if you have a baby Yoda come along and he says, hey, there's a pattern here, and I identify a pattern for you, if you let that pattern continue to ruin your life, then whose fault is it? Our fault, right? So if I help you identify something, you're like, I'm not gonna work on it, then that's your own fault. Now we have identified it, but we haven't eliminated it. So all I'm gonna do here today is called pattern recognition, is make you aware of patterns that are holding you back in your business and your personal life, so you can strip power away from them, so you can get to the next level. Sorry, Mike, I'm going to have very long-winded answers.
Yeah, that sounds great. And by the way, if you haven't read Nick's book, or if you haven't checked out his podcast, I really encourage you to do so, because it's really great content that's available to you. Nick, in your book, there was 2 parts that I wanted to ask when you were younger. I'm going to go to younger Nick to present Nick. So the part where you're talking about the skateboard handstand, I saw you speak a few times, and you told the story. You said you failed before you mastered it, and you had this persistence of like doing this handstand, but you're a kid. Where does persistence come from? Is that something that you're just born with, or is that something that everyone has?
Yeah. For me, the persistence, I was stubborn. Anyone stubborn in here? Show of hands. Anyone? Yeah. That's why you're here, right? You're stubborn. And so for me, I guess I had a chip on my shoulder to maybe prove people wrong, because the moment I was born, the doctor was like, hey, you're not going to be able, when my parents told me what the doctor said, they were like, hey, you won't be able to dress yourself. You won't be able to feed yourself. Your parents will take care of you for the rest of your life. And probably similar to you, everybody in this room, when someone tells you can't do something, it probably fires you up to go do it and prove them wrong. Anyone relate to that? So I'm like, all right, go ahead. Tell me I can't do it. I'm just going to burn it down. So I think the persistence came from stubbornness. But I want you all to note this. This is really important, is that there's 3 parts of the brain. The first part of the brain is thinking. I want you to note this. You have your thinking, you have your doing, and you have your being. Now, does anyone here remember the first time they learned how to drive a car? First time, ready? Look at me. First time you're going to drive a car, you get in the car, you're like freaking out. The person to your right, maybe it's your parents or someone, they got a little bit of pressure on you. You're like, oh shit, I don't want to do something wrong. You're checking the mirrors, right? And then you finally put it in reverse or drive and you get going. Then you get a couple reps in, right? You drive a couple times. Next thing you know, on your 8th time, you jump in the car, you blast the stereo. They're like, oh my God, what are you doing? And the mirror's already set. This mirror is set, and you back out and you just do your thing. Then you got more reps in, you got more reps in. Now you do things while you're driving that you shouldn't be doing. True? Right? For maybe ladies, you're doing your makeup, or some of you are like filming a podcast, like don't do that shit, right? But like have you ever driven from point A to point B and we're like, how did I get here? Anyone ever been there? You're like, wow, that went by, right? Because listen to me, because you did it with enough repetition to the point where you went from thinking to doing to what? To being. You just do it. So that is the same technique that you need to use for sales and influence and communication and leadership, right? You need to do it enough until you have unconscious competence where you do it and it just is you, right? So that's why people are like, how are you an amazing speaker? Well, when you speak for thousands of hours, it's just in you. True? So the same thing for you when you're leading, when you're recruiting, when you're knocking, whatever it may be. When I do it enough, I'll then get the results that I want. But something interesting that happens is we tend to misdiagnose ourselves. And how we misdiagnose ourselves is, say you get into this new job, right? And you go to present and someone tells you no. Because of that no and that experience that you got, you then start thinking, is this for me? Can I really do this stuff? Maybe I should do something else. Does that to relate to anyone? Has anyone ever went to a job or a specific sale and someone told you no, and you're like, is this for me? Can I really do this? And then you tend to misdiagnose yourself. You then develop beliefs, maybe sales isn't for me. Maybe knocking doors isn't for me. Maybe this job isn't for me. Maybe entrepreneurship isn't for me. So the real challenge here, and I want you to note this, is I must be persistent enough to get a new experience or a new result, so it feeds into the belief about who I am and what I'm capable of. Does that make sense? If that makes sense, just nod your head, right? For me, right? For example, or let's give one, say you've been cheated on. Because you got cheated on, you then develop a belief that all guys and girls are cheaters. And because all guys and girls are cheaters, you then project that belief into the future. And what do? You attract another cheater and have the same old cycle because of the belief. So for me, I was 14 years old. There was a girl to the left of me and she's like, I don't even have to make fun of you, Nick. You're already too messed up anyway. Look at you. And because she said that to me, Nick developed beliefs that I'll never have a girlfriend, that I'll never go to my junior prom, I'll never go to my senior prom, I'll never have a wife. But it was all bullshit. I started to believe someone who was just casting stones on me. Who sees that, right? Yep. So do not misdiagnose yourself or let a family member or a friend misdiagnose you. Get your first yes, get your first proof of concept, but be persistent enough to get the first yes, because when's the best time to make a sale? After the first sale, after the second sale. But most people, most humans, not superhumans, most humans won't be persistent enough. They'll quit and they'll misdiagnose themselves when they can have their dream life right ahead of them. They just weren't persistent enough to get the results. So that's my handstand analogy, is like I was practicing to do a handstand on a skateboard. And when I finally did the handstand on the skateboard, everybody saw the handstand, but no one saw Nick eating shit. And that's the same thing in business. No, everybody will see your new car and they'll see your new lifestyle, but they won't see how many times you knocked on a door and someone was like, F off, right? They don't see that. And you do that all the time. You scroll on social media and you see your favorite actors and your DJs and your influencers and your coaches, and you see their current life, but you didn't see all the times they ate shit. So if you want to know, my success is directly correlated to how much chaos I can withstand. I'll end there on that.
Yeah, that's a great one. Hopefully somebody wrote that one down in the chat so that we could capture. I love the chat. You could see the light bulbs coming in. Thinking, doing, being from Nicole. Jess says, be persistent enough to get another experience. Nick said success is correlated to how much chaos you could withstand. So love the light bulbs that's happening. What I focus on, I get more of. Great leaders ask great questions. So We're really getting some great traction in the chat. So this is great. Nick, I have another question for you. So in the book, you talked about two examples of one with kickball and one with wrestling. And I want to tie those two together because one in the kickball, when you were a kid, it's one of the mean kids said you're going to let a cripple score on you or something, right? And it's like you had these insecurities that got exposed. And from there, you also had this conversation where you had to cut off your arm, or you chose to cut off your arm in wrestling, and you put in quotations, and I want to quote, I read it, "My arm pain and my risk of injury was the concern, not my quote unquote disabilities." And you put that in quotes. So this example of like this mean kid saying crippled, and you put in quotes, disabilities around quotation marks. Why? Why did you choose to use disabilities in quotations in your book as an example?
Yeah, it's a great question. So the reason being is because people look at me, right? If people don't know me, they look at me and they're like, wow, I feel really bad for that guy. And then I would look back at them and be like, I feel really bad for you because my life's amazing and I'm probably doing more than you're doing and you're a full human. Right. And so that's the perception of someone has of me of like, oh, this guy is disabled, but most humans are disabled by their thinking. Right. Like, by the way, just want to plant that seed. It's like, I don't have anything that you don't have. Right. Like we all have the same. I'm missing limbs. See, the only thing that makes me stand in a different way and have the specific amount of success I have is my psychology. Like, if you make 50K a year, you think a certain way. If you make 100K a year, you think a different way. True or false? Just nod your head if that makes sense. If I make $1 million a year, I'm thinking differently than Nick, who's making 50K a year. So it really comes down to my psychology, which a lot of people don't understand that. And the reason why people don't understand that is because most of us have been jaded by the word mindset. We hear it all the time. Mindset, mindset, mindset. And you're like, Mom, mindset's motivation and it's happy thoughts and unicorns and fairy dust. No one really does a good job of elaborating on what mindset is. But mindset is actually training your body and mind over and over again to actually unwire and rewire your brain. Did you know you could do that? Like no matter if you're 50, 60, 70 years old, you can unwire and rewire your brain through specific exercises. So putting disability in a quote is because y'all think your physical body is your disability. Y'all think that the things that I don't have in my external world is a disability, when really all your disability is your thoughts that are holding you back, your beliefs, your stories, your excuses, your bullshit, right? Like that we all have. By the way, I'm not knocking you. We all have it. And so I'm going to help you leverage the brain so the brain doesn't leverage you. And the brain leveraged me for the majority of my life. So when I put quotes in as in disability, when I wanted to become a wrestler, my arm was about 5 inches longer than it is now. My bone was going faster than my skin. So it was super sensitive. And if I would have hit my arm hard enough, my bone would have came through my skin. That was the only thing that I was focused on. I wasn't focused on like, oh, I have no legs, one arm, I probably can't wrestle. That's just the way that I trained my brain. I never saw this as a disability. And so I went ahead and I amputated my arm and I got my ass kicked in wrestling. I wasn't the best wrestler. I had like 2 wins. But I'm saying is like most people would focus on like, wow, like I have no legs and one arm, I can't wrestle. My whole thing was like, I just need to cut this off so I can get moving. Right. So that's the difference is when you train your brain, you think differently. Can I take them through a quick exercise? Is this okay?
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Because one of my next questions was going to be, what tools can you offer? So this is your ahead. So this is great.
Great. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to take you through a focus evaluation. There's no right or wrong answer. I want you to play full out in the chat. There's no right or wrong answer, which by the way, what Mike said is like moments like these expose my insecurities. Like you have to condition your brain to be grateful for the moments that make you feel like shit. And the reason being is because if you never got knocked on your ass, you never have the opportunity to level up. True? Like if everything was always wins, you'd be like, this life is really boring. Like I'm just a stud. Like I'm winning everything. Like I'm just bored. Right now, for example, it's like if you go through life, right, and someone makes you insecure, you now have an opportunity to change the pattern. If someone makes you angry, that gives you a golden moment to not be angry, to override it. I call these override moments. So without you feeling the emotions that you don't want to feel, you wouldn't have opportunities to grow and become more, right? The only time that I can work through insecurity is when I feel insecure. The only time that I can work through anxiety and stress is when I'm feeling anxiety and stress. I have to welcome those moments. Who sees that? Show of hands, right? It's a good frame. It's like, wow, this is a worthy opponent. This is a worthy moment for me to do something that I don't normally do. So for example, if there's a specific person, and I know there is, if there's a specific person in your life that does this one thing that makes you pissed off, guess what? It's not the person that makes you piss off. It's you. That's your own trigger. It's not the person that triggered you. You triggered your damn self. Sydney, I see your face, right? It's like, oh shit, he's dropping bombs here. I want to create a world where I'm not affected by the external because I have my internal controlled. So who am I trying to go around trying to make my environment trigger free? Bullshit. There's no trigger free environments. The triggers just show you what you need to work on and what you're struggling with. So we're here to disarm triggers. Who's up for disarming triggers here today? Right? And you all have them, right? I don't even know where I was going with that. Oh, focus evaluation. Yeah, great. So focus evaluation. So I'm just going to ask you a question, and I want you to be honest. By the way, does anyone know the saying, the truth will set you free? So don't bullshit me. I've done the work, right? Just do it for yourself. So the first question that I would ask is, in my life, ready? In my life, which by the way, I love this room because a lot of you, I love all of you. Some of you are very young. And if you can learn this information now, life will never be the same. People pay tens of hundreds of thousands of dollars to learn this, and you get to learn it at your age. And if you apply it, life will never be the same. And some of you, because I know the human brain, some of you will be like, oh, that was cool. You write it down and you'll never look at it again. And then 5 years later, you go, oh shit, that was so good. It will hit. Like something will happen in your life. You're like, I should have listened to Nick 5 years ago. So don't do that. Just listen to it now. All right. So the first question, in my life, the majority of the times, do I focus on the things that I have or the things that I don't have? Now don't answer yet. Just think about it. In my life, the majority of the times, do I focus on the things that I have or the things that I don't have? 13-year-old in the house. That is so awesome. 13 years old. Wow. Right? In my life, the majority of the times, do I focus on the things that I have or the things that I don't have? Now, one thing you need to know about the brain is your brain will try to talk you out of growth. So for example, I'll come on here and I'm like, hey, I'm going to talk about the brain. And some of your brains go, I already know about the brain. I already know this stuff. Right? Oh, I've already heard that before. Well, it's like bullshit, because if you heard it before, you'd be applying it and you'd be at a different point in your life. Right? But that's your brain trying to talk you out of growth. Who sees that? Which, by the way, your brain, real quick before we move on, I want you to think about that question, but your brain wants what's known and what's comfortable. So hear me out on this. If your brain wants what's known and what's comfortable, that's right, Zach, it's a survival brain. When you start to do something new, what does your brain do? Your brain will go, don't do that shit. Hit the snooze button. Skip the gym. I skip leg day, so it's all right, but skip leg day. Don't eat the cake. Right? Has anyone ever had their voice, heard their brain talk them out of doing something that they should have done? Show of hands if you're honest, right? That's also a moment to override your bitch voice. When your brain tells you don't, what should you do? Now I have to. And I've programmed my brain anytime I'm scared, I'm like, oh shit, I got to do it now. I got to override the bitch voice. I got to unwire and rewire. Does that relate? Does that help? So like, notice, like anytime your voice is trying to talk, same thing. You're going to see a really attractive guy or girl and you're like, oh, and then your brain's going to go, no, don't do that shit. Don't go up to her. Don't go up to him. What should you do? Go up to him or her. Just do it. Right? So let's answer this. Let's, with a show of hands, how many of you find yourself focusing on a lot of things that you don't have? It's okay. Yeah, I appreciate your honesty. It's fine. Right? How many of you focus on the things that you do have? Here, I'll raise this one. Here you go. How many of you are both? How many are like, I ain't going to raise my hand regardless of what this guy says, right? I see you. Awesome. Right? Now, listen, one of the patterns that humans have is they focus on what they lack. True or false? You focus on what you lack. Now go like this. Here, come on, go like this. This is how I screw myself up, everybody. This is how I do it. I focus on all the things that I lack. Now, When I focus on what I lack, I feel shitty. And when I feel shitty, I won't take action. True?
True.
When I focus on all the things that I don't have, I feel terrible. And because I feel terrible, I'm just not going to do any of it. Right? So who sees that you may have patterns where you focus on things that you have and it makes you feel bad? You can override that. You can eliminate that pattern. Show of hands. Who sees that? Which, by the way, all these things that I'm going to teach you and that you can apply are called 2mm shifts. Meaning a lot of you think, and it's not your fault, you've been programmed this way, that you think you need to make a massive change to change your life. When in reality, it's the accumulation of all these small little shifts. You don't need to make a massive change today. Just make a small shift today, tomorrow, the next day, and it accumulates. Who sees that? Show of hands, right? What does that hashtag stand for? I'm curious.
Tiny actions daily.
Yeah, I love it, right? So you're already getting conditioned like this. So that was the first one. Do I focus on the things that I have or the things that I don't have? The next one is, in my life, do I focus on the things that I can control, the things that I can't control? By the way, no right or wrong answer. There's probably a combination of both. In my life, do I focus on the things that I can control, the things that I can't control? Now, how many of us realize there's a lot of things that we can't control that we still get pissed off over? It's a waste of energy. How many of you get pissed off in traffic? You got a lot of work to do. I'm just being honest. You got a lot of work to do. You can't control that shit, but you're letting it affect you. You're letting it affect your world. True? Right? I can't control the fact that I was born with no legs and one arm. Same thing with the have and the don't have. If a man with no legs or one arm woke up every single day and focused on all the things that he doesn't have, is my quality of life good or bad? Thumbs up or thumbs down? Down. No, down. Yeah, down, right? So I tend to focus on all the things that I do have. So how many of you find yourself focusing on a lot of the times on the things that you can't control? Anyone? A few of us. The hands are like halfway up. I like it. Right? How many people try to make a conscious decision to focus on the things that they can control? Right? How many people just know they can shift and focus more on the things that they can control? There's some work that needs to be done. Who agrees with that? Right? Now I want you to note a few things that you can control. A few things that I can control. I'll go really quickly. And then, sorry, Mike, this is my long-winded answer again.
No. This is perfect. And by the way, just the context of the question I was going to ask you is, you use these tools, I'm sure that you shared. The tools that you're sharing right now, I'm assuming, was when you were in your hotel room in Miami and you asked the girl on a date or whatever, and it didn't go as expected, and you're down in the dumps and you're feeling like shit, and you had to self-correct, and you had a drop-down menu of tools on how you can self-correct. That probably also happened when suicidal thoughts kind of went in your head when you're getting fucking bullied and picked on and shit. And like, but the challenge is most people aren't equipped with the tools that you're about to share. And what my curiosity is, and you could answer it or you could avoid it, is why the fuck aren't people equipped with these tools that you're about to share with them? Share the tools, but at the end, if you want to share with them, like, why aren't people equipped with these tools? Why aren't they exposed to them? Why isn't it just common knowledge that everyone knows it? So give them the tools.
Yeah.
And I also want you to answer that question as well. That was my 2-part question, but keep rolling. You're doing great.
That's a rabbit hole I want to dive into right now. And I promise you, I'll continue to take you through the process, but listen to me. And it's a young crowd. So it's really cool. Is the reason why people aren't equipped with the tools is the very reason why you can go on YouTube and look at a Cardi B music video and it has 500 million views. And then you go to a video that could change your life and has 1,000. And what I mean by that is, like, they don't want you to win. I don't know who they is yet, but they don't want you to be educated. They don't want you to know about financial literacy. They don't want you to win. They want you to be in the box. True? Want you to be in the box. The 9 to 5, shut up, raise your hand, talk when you're supposed to be talked to. And which, by the way, I'm not knocking 9 to 5s, because I'm a firm believer is you identifying your version of success and pursuing that. My version of success may not be the same as you, and I totally respect your version of success. But what I'm saying is, for those that want the tools, they'll go find the tools. Most people aren't equipped with the tools because you're not supposed to be smart. You're supposed to be a line worker. You're supposed to be a sheep. I'm just being honest here. And the most dangerous information out there is the information you don't know. And you only know what you know. One day you woke up and someone told you that's a bird and you believed it. My buddy's like, dude, if they never named an octopus and I didn't know what an octopus was, I would have thought it was an alien, right? But we just put a name on it. So the same thing. They're like, you go to school and they're like, this is the way. And you say, yes, this is the way. Which, by the way, in school, you've got conditioned that when you take a test, how many right answers are there on a test?
One.
It's a good thing I got one finger. One. So you've been conditioned that there's only one right way to success. And if I don't pick the right way, what do I fail? That's bullshit. Because then you get into the real world and you realize there's multiple ways to success. True or false? Also, in school, you were conditioned that don't work together, don't share answers, don't collaborate. And then you get into the real world and you collaborate and make some of the most beautiful things. True or false? So what I'm helping you do is unwire and break you out of the matrix. Just saying. You've been conditioned, right? So they don't want you to have the tools. That's my answer. And I'm going to chat. Yeah, Neo Nick. I like it. I'm a big matrix guy. But the truth is, I'll give most of you the tools and you won't use them. I'll give most of y'all the tools and you still won't use it. And the reason being is because you're comfortable and you're okay with being comfortable. Now, I want you to note as well that you can't teach hunger. Not like hunger eating. I'll eat all day. But I'm talking about hungry, like to want to be more, to do more, to give more. Hunger isn't taught. Hunger is squeezed out of you. And how hunger is squeezed out of you is by putting pressure on yourself. But also your whole life, you've been conditioned to, hey, play it safe. Hey, Nick, what's your plan B? Hey, Joseph, what's your plan C? Right? Hey, Michael, what are you going to do if this doesn't work out? And I'll tell you this, people who have multiple plans, they never win. Like my mentor would say, if you want to take the island, burn the fucking boats. But will you have the hunger enough to burn the fucking boats? Now, the truth is, humans, when they put their back against the wall, they either survive or they thrive, or they either die or they thrive. And most of you are going to thrive. So I would ask the question as well, is like, where can I put some healthy pressure on my life? Where can I put some healthy pressure on me so it forces me to level up? How many of you have ever had pressure on yourself and found a fucking way? Of course. You're fucking studs. That's why you're here. Right? So where in my life could I put some healthy pressure on myself? So that's my rabbit hole, is like, they don't want you to win. They don't want you to be educated. They don't want you to know about financial literacy and all that. I mean, why don't they teach about taxes in school? I want you to be slaves to the system. So I'm not going to go into any more rabbit holes about that.
Well, hey, I appreciate you saying it, because you're speaking the unspoken, Nick. That's really what it is. It's like you're speaking the unspoken. People think it, but they don't know how to contextualize it the way you just did. And that's really beautiful. And I'm glad you brought that up, because you see in the chat, some people are like, wow, light bulb. Yes, absolutely. If you got anything from that last segment, just hit us up in the chat with what showed up about this little rabbit hole tangent that Nick just went on. People have multiple plans, never win. If you want to take the island, burn the boats. Amen. So true. Let's go, Neo Nick. Love me some rabbit holes. Right? So insane. Put healthy pressure on yourself. Most people won't use the tools because we're comfortable, and you can't teach hunger. Hunger is squeezed out of you, and it's squeezed out of you by pressure. I mean, just unbelievable content that's coming out of just that little rant that you went on. And I imagine if you know, especially with your podcast, your book, and I know you have a couple of events and things that you're a part of, and then you do, imagine if we had even more time where you can like really go through and dive deep into some of these rabbit holes. So I thank you so much. And I want to respect everyone's time. I want to respect your time. So I definitely finish up the tools here, because these tools that you're about to share, I'm sure are really what's going to help people get unstuck, because they're going to complain. Some people might complain, and then they're going to have that little bitch voice. They're like, oh shit, I can do something about it. And now this is an opportunity for you to teach them what could you do about it if you want to interrupt the pattern. So sorry for the tangent, but I'm really glad we went on that tangent.
You're good. So here we pick up is note the few things that I can control. You're like, wow, I forgot what he's saying. I'm back to the can control, right? So note, by the way, if you can, please, you will win at a massive level if you control the controllables. And these are the few things that you can control that are going to make you superhumans. You ready? The first thing that you can control, which I just taught you, is your focus. Which, by the way, a lot of the times your anxiety, your stress, your anger, your insecurity is self-induced by what you're focusing on. You create it. In relationships, has anyone ever been in a relationship and created a scenario that was unimaginable and then you snapped on that person? Yeah, I'm a crazy fucker too. I do it too. It's the brain, right? But I'm aware of the pattern. I strip power away from it. So you can control your focus, right? The second thing that you can control, which you know this and it's so powerful, is the people you surround yourself with. It sounds so cliche, but this is the gold. And I'll shoot it straight with you. If you hang around people who have unhealthy tendencies, it's only a matter of time before you start having unhealthy tendencies. You hang around people who are broke, it's only a matter of time before you start having broke tendencies. You hang around people who are toxic, you start to become toxic. True or false? It's true. Now that's really hard because sometimes listen to me, sometimes it's your family and friends that don't understand your vision and you can't accept that. And I'm not, by the way, don't get off this call and be like, hey, mom, dad, this guy with no legs of an arm told me to cut you off. Don't do that shit. It makes me look really bad. But what I'm saying is you love them from afar, meaning you don't give them all your time and energy because you're trying to build a life for yourself. True? Is that okay to say? You love them from afar, which, by the way, I still have high school friends. Like, I'm a human here. I have high school friends that are like, yo, get on Xbox after you're done teaching. And I'm like, oh, maybe I'll jump on Xbox, right? But like, I don't spend all my time and energy on Xbox or with my high school friends and with my business partners and building something, right? So just love them from afar. Don't cut them off. Don't be like, hey, this guy was like, hey, you're out. Some people you do need to cut off, but some people you just need to give only some of your time and energy to. For some of you, you can't have specific conversations with your family because it just starts arguments. Does that relate? So have them with me, have them with Mike, have them with your mentors, people who challenge you and see your vision. Is that okay to say? And the last thing that you can control is the content that you consume on a day-to-day basis. Your brain is a garden. Ready? Watch this. Your brain's a garden. If I plant watermelon seeds, what am I going to get? Quick in the chat. If I plant watermelon seeds, what am I going to get? Yeah, you can lip it to me. I see Sydney. Watermelon, right? Ready? Look, I plant corn. What am I going to get? Ready? Watch this. I plant shit. What am I going to get? Shit. So you need to harvest. You need to harvest your garden. You need to tend your garden. And I think it was, I don't know if it's Jim Rohn or Zig Ziglar, but he says most people wake up, they check their Instagram, see the war, see politics, see the news, and expect to have an amazing day. Bullshit. Not going to happen. How many of you woke up, immediately checked your phone and saw a text message, a phone call, or an email that pissed you off? Don't do that shit no more. Give yourself 30 minutes in the morning of not checking your phone and just being a human being. Just that small shift, life will never be the same. And the last focus evaluation, I know I'm all over here, but the last focus evaluation is, in my life, do I find myself focusing on the past, the present, or the future? It could be a combination of all three, one more than the other. But do I focus on the past, the present, or the future? How many of you, I'm just curious, how many of you find yourself focusing on the past a lot? It's okay, right? It's okay. Future? How many agree the future is a muscle? You have to cultivate that. You have to acquire that. It's really hard to focus on the present. Now watch this. How many of you like to focus on the future? There's a majority of the room, because you're action takers and you're always focused on what you want to do and what you want to achieve and where you want to be. True?
True.
But who agrees there's also a balance? Because if you're always focused on the future, you might miss what's right in front of me. So we're all in Earth School. Welcome to class. We're all just figuring out life, which, by the way, as a kid, there's two things that happen to you as a kid. The first thing that happens to you when you're a kid is you think everything's your fault. Oh, mom and dad got divorced. What did I do wrong? Mom and dad were struggling. What did I do wrong? And you then develop beliefs about who you are, and maybe it was your fault. The second thing that happens when you're a kid is you think all adults have their shit together. Is that true? No. We don't got our shit together. We're just figuring it out. You were all split tests. Your parents were just split testing and figuring out how to be a parent. They didn't know what the fuck they were doing, right? In the most polite way. And by the way, your parents didn't intentionally pop you out and say, oh, I can't wait to cast limiting beliefs on Nick Hernandez. This is going to be amazing. They didn't do that shit. Your parents did the best they could with what they knew and what they were exposed to and how they were conditioned. And I know that's maybe hard for some of you to swallow because childhood wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. And I understand that. But they only knew what they knew. And they were conditioned a certain way, true or false. A lot of you can liberate yourself some maybe from some negative emotions that you're holding on to about your childhood, if you're up for it, by finding the gifts and finding the learnings in your childhood. They didn't know what the fuck they were doing. They've been doing the best they could. Right? Now, for those that focus on the past, it happens a lot. You tell me, in the present moment, can I focus on something negative in the past and feel it? I can, right? What I focus on, I feel. What I feel is my life. So you get cheated on and then you replay it over and over again. Here, go like this again. That's how we do it. That's how we screw ourselves up, right? Or someone tells you no, you get rejected. Sale didn't go the way that you want. You start replaying it over and over again. Right? The only thing that you should be doing in the past is asking these questions. I want you to write these questions, which, by the way, the reason why questions are so important is because your brain is a problem-solving mechanism. And it's always going to give you an answer to the questions that you ask it. But the truth is, most of you going around asking shitty questions. And if I ask a shitty question, what kind of answer do I get? A shitty one. So a few golden questions. What did I learn? What did I learn? Who am I going to become because of what I've went through? Ooh, that's a good one. Maybe the very reason why you love people so much is because you were bullied and you never want people to feel that way. Ooh, how about that? Right? Maybe the reason why you're so passionate about being successful is because your family didn't have much money. What a fucking gift they gave you. Who's up for that? Who's up for finding the gift? You see what I'm doing here with the brain and the mind? So who did I become? What did I learn? And what is the gift? What's the gift? Let me find the gifts. Let me find the learnings. Because my brother overdosed on heroin and fentanyl 2 years ago, I will continue the pursuit of mastering psychology so no one has to suffer like my brother did. I'm actually starting in the alcohol and rehab facility space, lowering relapse levels, and I'd never do that unless my brother died. So I'll end there. I'll end there. But the quality of my life comes down to the quality of the questions that I ask myself on a day-to-day basis. You want a better life? Ask better questions.
Sorry to hear about your brother. I just heard you say that in the podcast episode that you just released, and you know it's an epidemic right now. It always has been, but it definitely is right now. So you know, definitely sorry to hear about that, and it's beautiful to see that you're turning such a painful, terrible situation into a beautiful gift. And it was really beautiful that your dad leaned on you to kind of share the news with your siblings. And I think about, you know, not only your dad seeing that you've grown up in this way, but I also think about you meeting The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, at the gym, and him saying he wanted to meet you because of how you show up, and you being at the UPW event with Tony Robbins in the front, and Joseph McClendon's like, everyone stand up, even you stand up. And you're like, fuck, what am I going to do? You know, and from these moments of low moments to now, you spoke on the stage because you didn't let that insecurity or that circumstance or that challenge kind of deter you from where you were to where you are to where you're going. And now, I mean, tens of thousands of people you get a chance to influence and impact because you're applying the lessons that you've learned. You've taken these tools, these questions, the focus, the psychology, and you're applying them to help a lot of people. My question is what can someone do as they're listening now, if they're listening today and they're realizing that their mess is their message, or their gifts that they're starting to realize they could actually do something about it? What are some steps that they could take to like continue on that journey, to continue investing in themselves, to continue this conversation that's now starting to take place in their minds. Well, what are some next steps that they could take?
Yeah. Let me give you one that's going to help save you a lot of time. And it's a series of questions. So just write them down as I go, if you will. But by the way, before I take you through that, like this guy is always leaving me on a cliffhanger. I want to share something really powerful. So right now in the chat, which by the way, 46 minutes in, has anyone ever, have you got value from this today? Was this okay? Was this good? Now 46 minutes in, you feel me, you know, I am bullshitting. I'm here to serve. I'm here to give. What do you like about me? Just give me describing words. And I promise you, this isn't to feed my ego. In the chat, write like characteristics that you like. Watch this. Passion, authentic, honesty, your outlook, real, positive, real, charisma, real as fuck, caring, honesty, your energy, your passion, transparent, straight to the point, passion, willingness, honesty. Ready? Watch this. I appreciate it. You filled my head up enough. What you like about me is already in you. That's why you like it. What you like about me and you see in me, you love it and you notice it because it's also in you. I am you and you are me. I'm a mirror of you. What you don't like about others, you don't like because it's in yourself. Oof. Someone give me a oof. What you like about me, you can do. It's already in you. Same thing though, why relationships are so hard. Relationships are so hard because that person mirrors back what you don't like about yourself and what you need to work on. You don't like that shit. Light bulbs? Any light bulbs? Mind blows. I was like, boom. Let's go. Right? But just notice that what you see in Mike, you have in you. True? Sometimes it takes a baby Yoda to show a gift in you that you didn't see in yourself. And I'll be here to do that for you. But I want to let you know it's already in you. What was the question? I totally forgot the question, but I just wanted to share that.
The question is what could they continue to do?
Steps.
So, yeah, if they wanted to continue investing in themselves or investing in their journey. I mean, and by the way, before you even ask that question, what was it like being on fucking same stage, Tony Robbins, hanging out with The Rock, hanging out with Joseph McClendon III, hanging out with Ed Milet? Like, what's it like to see that your past, going from the insecure kid that is getting made fun of on kickball to the wrestler who cuts off his arm to the kid who's dealing with insecurities to teaching this message to the masses, tens of thousands, and people paying you tens of thousands of dollars to hear you speak for an hour. And by the way, just so everyone knows, Nick is doing this for free and people pay him tens of thousands of dollars to do this for one segment. So someone put in the chat, it's like, hey, what, can you come to my school? Yeah, you damn right. The first time I saw Nick, they paid him, I think it was like $7,000 the first time, and it was like $10,000 the second time, just for him to come speak and talk to them for an hour or two. So I just want to say on behalf of everyone here, the 101 participants plus the smaller group, so somewhere between 100 and 150 people that you're talking to right now, thank you for doing this for us and speaking right now. You're speaking to a whole bunch of Tony Robbins alum. Those are probably the ones with their videos off because I don't know if they're around or they don't want to show this face. I don't know why. But I'm looking through the cameras. A lot of the Cutco and Vector Marketing people have their videos on, and a lot of the Tony Robbins people are like, no, I don't know if I want to be exposed right now. So you got a bunch of different types of people here, man. And I just want to say thank you so much and for giving us your heart and giving us your mind and focus. But first, what is it like when you get on that stage and you're speaking to the masses, being in China and speaking to 10,000 fucking people, right? And then also the question is how can they leverage their gifts and how can they continue this momentum beyond this conversation?
Yep. So I think what's most powerful about hanging with these people is finally understanding that they're just humans. Because a lot of times we put, and I've done it, put people on a pedestal, and some people deserve to be on a pedestal for what they achieved, but understanding that you all have what they have. They just done the work. See, the only thing that's standing in between you and the person you want to be, I want you to note this. The only thing that's standing in between me and the person that I want to be is time, and that person failed more than you did. Failure is feedback. They just eat shit. They fall down. The person who falls down and gets back up faster is going to learn the way, rather than the person waiting for the perfect time. Which, by the way, how many of you are perfectionists in here? Would label, oh, you just walked into a trap. So perfection is the lowest standard because you can never achieve it. You can't fucking achieve perfection. You're always going to be waiting for the perfect time, the perfect webinar, the perfect door, the perfect prospect. I'm going to be fucking blowing past you because I'm just going to be knocking. I'm be going. And you're waiting for the perfect time, which, by the way, yeah, I like what Jay said. Perfectionist is the procrastinator's way to feel successful. Always waiting for the perfect time. Always waiting for the perfect time. If you're going to sit by and wait for the perfect time, you're going to get destroyed by someone in me in business because I'm just going to keep eating shit, figuring it out. Right? So the steps that we can take, back to this, the steps that we can take. I would ask a few questions. The first question, and I want you to answer these on your own. This would be really powerful, is one, who am I? That's your name. So you all know your name. That's an easy one. So who am I? The second question would be, what do I love to do? And I know that sounds so cliche, but like, I love to do this. And a lot of you have a belief that you can't monetize your passion, and that's bullshit. You need to let go of that as well, right? So it's like, what do I love to do? And who do I love to work with? Who do I love to work with? Because how many of you realized in your early careers that there's some people you love to work with, and there's some people like, I don't even care if I make money. I don't want to work with that person. Anyone ever been there? Right? So it's like, what do I love to do? Who do I want to work with? I would also ask, what is the result that I can get people? That's a big one. Because in the most polite way, no one cares about you. No one cares about your logo. No one cares about your background. They care about what you can do for them. True or false? They just care about what you can do for them. What's the result that you can get me? Right? Some of you are like, shit, I've been waiting for my logo to be perfect before I launch this and launch that. Like, they don't care about it. Just what can you do for them? And I'd also ask is, how do they change as a result of my gifts? Like, how do they change? Maybe you give them financial freedom. Maybe you give them stability. Maybe you fix their credit. I don't know what it is, right? But how do they change as a result of my gifts and my services? Now, what you'll notice is the majority of those questions are outward facing. They're not about you. They're about who? They're about other people. So those questions teach you how to be an outward person and not an inward person. The only real question was like about you was like, who am I? And you already know who you are and what do you love to do? The rest were about how you can help others. I forget. I think it was Jim Rohn or Zig Ziglar. But one of them said, if I help enough people get what they want, I can have anything I want in my life. Zig. Yeah, Dan said it. Cassetta, good to see you, brother. Zig said it, right? So I would say for all of you, those few questions that I just asked and gave you is like, always go back to them, always answer them. The other thing that I would do is get really clear on what I want. For example, your brain is always going to take the path of least resistance. Ready? Watch this. Your brain's always going to take the path of least resistance. So you'll say, I want more money. And you'll go outside and Jess will find $1 and the brain will go, okay, job's done. Congratulations, Jess. You hit your goal. Yeah. Right. Or you'll say, I want to lose weight. And then your brain will go, okay, you'll go to the bathroom, lose 2 pounds. And your brain will go, yeah, we did it. We lost weight. This is amazing. Right. I don't want to do that. Right. So you need to be very clear on what you want. So for example, over here on my board, you can't see it, but this year I know exactly what body fat percentage I'm going to be at. I know exactly how much money I want in my savings account. I know exactly how much money I want to put in investments. Like, clarity is power. And the more crystal clear you are, the easier it is for you to get what you want. True? Because your brain is a detective. It's always looking for the networks, resources, and opportunities to help you get there quicker. But why most people are poor or struggle, and I'm not saying poor just financially, just as in quality of life, is because they're always focused on what they don't want, so they get more of that shit. True? Always focus on what I don't want. I'm gonna get more of it, right? So that's what I'm glowing today. Look, this is just a perfect moment. The sun hit me at the perfect time. Congratulations on being at the right place at the right time. And so those are the few steps that I would take. Also, I would pick 3 to 4 people who have the life or the results that you want and model them. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just got to make it smoother. You just got to make it you. Find your top producer and go spend more time with them. And I promise you'll make more money. Snap your fingers for me. I'll pretend here. There you go. That fast by proximity. But make sure you're learning from someone who has the life or has the results that you want, because there's too many people giving you health advice who are overweight. There's too many people giving you financial advice who are broke. There's too many people giving you relationship advice who don't even have a good relationship. So make sure you're learning from those who have the results that you want. And Mike, I just want to end with this too, is I think, Mike, that was like, I think it was like 2 or 3 years ago, we took that picture and he said my speaking fee was 10 grand. Now, 2 years forward, people pay me $35,000 to $50,000 for an hour.
Boom.
Now, write this down. I'll never make more than I think I'm worth. I will only make as much as I think I'm worth. If you think you're worth $7,000 an hour, you'll get $7,000 an hour. Now with my tools and my certainty and my skills and my mastery, I think I'm worth this. So I get that. Which, by the way, the reason why you're here is because you know you're worth more. Which, by the way, most people don't figure that out till like 50, 60 years old, and it's too late. So give yourselves a round of applause. You know that you got more to do, more to be. There's a better life out there. How many people realize there's more that you got to do? You're like, I got a lot of things to do in this lifetime. Let's ride. Let's go. So I'll never make more than I think I'm worth. That's why self-worth and confidence is the foundation to your success. And how you build confidence and self-worth, very simple. You ready? Is you do the shit you say you're going to do. If you make a promise, keep it. Because when you make a promise and you break it, what is it easier to do? If I break one promise, what do? I can break another. And then what? I break another, right? I'm like that in food. I eat one Oreo. I'm like, just give me the Ben and Jerry's. Let's burn it down, right? Let's just keep eating. Anyone? It's like, I've already screwed my diet up today. Might as well burn it down. Or I skipped leg day today. I might as well skip it for the rest of my life. I know all of you in here skipping leg day. You ain't showing your legs on camera, probably because you're in your boxers, right? But I know what you're talking about. So very simple. Let's make it very simple. If I say I'm going to do something, what should I do? Do that shit. All right.
Yeah, Nick, that is so much value. These questions, this drop down menu of questions. Who am I? What do I love to do? Who do I love to work with? What result can I help get people? How do they change as a result of my gifts? What powerful questions and tools. And if anybody feels stuck, Nick just gave you a menu of questions that you could reflect on and journal through and capture, because as he revealed to you, is the answers are within you. You already have the answers, but sometimes you need to draw them out. Hence what education means. Education is rooted from the Latin word educare, which means to draw out, meaning it's already inside of you. You just need to draw it out of yourself. And that's why having a mentor in someone like Nick to be able to draw out your gifts and draw out the potential. So, and I really love the part that you mentioned about off self and on purpose, essentially like helping other people. And I know you talked a little bit about your brother, and in the book, you talk about your quantum moment where the mom told you, because you're doing the sport, her daughter is now inspired to do a sport, and you have this real big passion to help other people. And I think that's so beautiful, because a lot of the individuals that are on the Zoom right now have the exact same focus. They want to become a better version of themselves so they can help other people with and leverage those gifts. So I know we're at the top of the hour, Nick, and I respect your time. I told everyone, I was like, hey, he's probably going to only give us like 30 minutes. I mean, he's not charging us anything, and he's doing this for free as a gift. So he might give us like 20, 30 minutes, and you've already been at it for 60. And I really, truly grateful that you're doing that. If they wanted to continue the conversation with you, if they wanted more of Nick, what could they do to, by the way, hit us up in the chat. Hit us up in the chat. Would you like to continue the conversation with Nick? Like if there was opportunities for that where, you could still have access to him, obviously, he has his book, and I already shared my screen. I just picked up his mom's book. So I just want to shout that out too. Born to Break the Boundaries, How We Raise an Adaptive Child in a Handicapped World. I'm really excited to read the 174 pages of gold that Stacy Santonastasso has put together for us. So I'm really excited about that. But if they wanted to continue the conversation, looks like everyone, is that a rhetorical question? Of course, that would be amazing. Of course, Nick, let's be besties. I know Alexis said, tell Cammie, she actually coaches. Cammie's her coach. Alexis Gauss. So that's funny. So a lot of people want to continue this. What could that potentially look like if they wanted to keep the conversation going?
Yeah. So what's really cool about this is like we're all at our house and we get to learn really cool things and spend time with really cool people. It's pretty cool, right? So we're on Zoom. That's a good part of some of the things that we've acquired over the COVID and all that stuff. And also, I just want to commend y'all because you guys are hungry. You guys and girls are hungry, and it's really, really inspiring to see you want to be more, to do more, but most importantly, to show up, take notes, be attentive, retain the information. And that says a lot about who you are. And it says a lot about Mike and those that you're in proximity of. So I'm really proud of you guys. And I'll end with this is the person you see here speaking, I built this person. I wasn't always this person. I wasn't this person 6 months ago. I wasn't this person a year ago. Like I'm constantly building and building and building. And that's what I'm going to help you is become a superhuman and give you the tools. So even if you have me or you don't have me, you can go out in the real world and continuously become a superhuman. And like I said, the reason why I'm still here is because one of my core beliefs is I always win because I over deliver. That's why I wasn't going 20 minutes. I'm not going 30 minutes. I would go 2 hours if we could keep going. But those who over deliver always win. And so I hope I over delivered here today for you. I hope this was really impactful for you. And more importantly, please don't close your notebook and never look at the notes again. I will smack you. Don't do that. Knowledge is potential power. But the real power comes from when you implement and apply the knowledge. You all know people who have a ton of knowledge, but are still not doing anything in life because they don't apply the knowledge that they have. Don't be that guy or girl. Apply the knowledge. And I look forward to seeing you in our new Superhuman event.
And Nick, again, could we let me give them an opportunity to unmute themselves so we could get actual praise if that's cool. So I'm going to let everyone unmute here in just a second. So, get that ready. And just again, thank you so much. Nick Santonastasso, best-selling author, speaker, bodybuilder, model, just an unbelievable human being as a whole. So let's give them an opportunity to unmute. Here you go. Give it up for Nick if you can real quick.
Thank you. Thank you.
Nick, thank you so much, brother. I really appreciate you, man.
If you're like me, you're probably blown away by that conversation. I mean, he is just an incredible human being. And if you're listening to this podcast episode on Spotify or Apple or Anchor, I recommend you making your way over to the YouTube channel so you can watch Nick speak live, so you can see what a beautiful soul he is. And from this, you'll notice a couple of my takeaways. He said, great leaders ask great questions. And he talked about where his focus goes is where his energy flows. He talked about the pattern recognition, the 3 parts of the brain, the thinking, the doing, the being. He talked about being persistent enough to get another experience. He said most humans are disabled by their thinking, not by their physical body. What a beautiful heart he has. I love his focus questions when he was talking about the focus of you conditioning your brain to be grateful for the moments that make you feel like you're feeling like what do you say, like a little bitch, I think is the way he said it, right? So focusing on your gratitude when you're feeling low energy. He also talked about the tools that he gave you to be equipped in order for you to go from where you are to where you want to be, how you can ask certain questions, how you can redirect the quality of your life. What you don't like about people is probably what you don't like about yourself, and what you love about other people is probably what you love about yourself, and being more of a solution finder for your identity and for who you're becoming. I know he talked a lot about clarity and how the power of clarity, and having people that you can role model in your life, and people who have what you want, and how you can embody that even more. So again, fantastic episode. It might be one of those that you go back and listen to again. And if you haven't done so yet, you will put the link in the show notes. Please join Nick live. It's only going to benefit you in the long run. He's giving complimentary, as you heard in the episode, he charges about $50,000 right now for a keynote message, and you get a chance to enjoy him live for a couple of days for free. He's offering that to you as a listener to the Better Than Rich show. So make your way over to his link and check that out. And if you want some more content and more context around discovering your purpose, around figuring out what your identity is, and getting a little bit more of an intimate one-on-one type of feel, and a more immersive type of experience where you get more of myself, more of Andrew Biggs, picking apart your values and your identities, and who you're becoming, and what your purpose in life is, and what you're out to accomplish, and what problem are you here to solve in the world, and what is your message to the world. If you need a little bit more support with building your self-confidence and building up, the next chapter of your life, and also how you're going to finish off the 2022 goals that you have set for yourself and what your intentions are, and if you're feeling a little stuck, how to get unstuck. If you want some support with that, I would make your way over to betterthanrich.com/discover your purpose. Again, betterthanrich.com/discover your purpose, because we're putting on an event to help with discovering your purpose. I know if you're a listener and a fan of the show, you may have joined us in Mexico. We had 21 of you out in Mexico for a retreat for Forest Through the Trees back in November 2021. Well, we're doing another immersive type of experience similar to that to help you discover your purpose. And go to betterthanrich.com/discover your purpose to get some information about our upcoming event. It's going to be in July, and we would love to have you there. And if you are unsure about whether or not you can make the event or whatnot, at least hop on a call with myself or with Andrew, where we could poke around your values and poke around your identity and poke around asking you a couple of questions around your purpose. We would love to do that for you for free as a complimentary gift of being a fan and a follower and a supporter of the Better Than Rich show. So either way, make your way to betterthanrich.com/discover your purpose, and you could register for a complimentary call on that link, and you could also get information on that upcoming event. So as we always say, we appreciate you. Thanks for being followers of the show, and make sure to leave today better than you found it.
What's up, guys? Biggs here. I hope you enjoyed that clip. If you did, go ahead and check out the other video that's being recommended on the screen right now. You can also subscribe to our channel. And then if you really are interested in what we do, go to automatedelegatesystemize.com to learn more about what we're up to. Thanks again.